Hello humans, good morning. I had to step away from the coast there because it's just too windy. There's a lot of wind out there, and right now it's low tide. Look at that. It reminds me of Death Stranding. But it's still a gorgeous view every morning here. Regardless, guys, I wanted to talk to you about the IiRcade and their bankruptcy and how similar of a situation they had to Intellivision, right? Let's do another rambling morning here, and let's talk about it. It was very painful to watch for me, right? For me to see the CEO sit up there and just, expose himself to everybody and expose his failure in business, right? It's one of the hardest things to do. If you've ever been in business, you know that when you have to close down a business, it feels terrible. It feels like you let yourself down. It feels like you left your employees down. It feels like you wasted your life in whatever project you were working on. Most companies close within 5 years. That's just the fact, right? You can see it with Intellivision. You can see it with here with the IiRcade, and that's the reason you need funding if you're trying to build a big brand. You need funding for at least 5 years where you're not going to make any money and you're going to have to establish a brand. But right now, there isn't a lot of investors. So if you lose an investor right now, you're not going to find one. Nobody wants to speculate in this market. There's not a lot of dollars out there. There just isn't. People are trying to protect their wealth. They're not trying to squander it. Why are you going to put $2-3 million in a company that you run the risk of losing it all, right? Losing it all when you can just put it in a bank and earn 5%, right? And have none of the headaches. You don't have to stress. You don't have to do any of those things. At some point, investors have to make that call, right? Of course, speculation is part of any investor's portfolio, guys, but the percentages diminish when the economy is weak. Let me tell you, I don't care what people are telling you out there, there's something wrong with this economy. Let me tell you what I look for, right? And this is something you guys can follow. I look for packing tape manufacturers, right? Or packing tape distributors. See how they're doing. Because packing tape is used in everything. Right now in China, you have containers and containers of packing tape sitting in warehouses where purchase orders have been canceled. What does that mean? If you're not packing stuff to ship, that means you're not selling anything. All right, your business is slow. That's a situation you have. You can go look it up on Google or, YouTube, what have you. You're going to see that that's the case. Now, if that's the case, what does that mean? It means that there's not a lot of appetite out there for speculation in a slow economy, right? That's why IiRcade couldn't find a replacement investor. That's why Intellivision, right, can't find an investor currently. Nobody's willing to stomach those kind of risks on something that's not proven. That's the call that Talarico should have made when he lost his investor, right? This is the right thing to do. To bankrupt IiRcade is the right thing to do because they can't move forward. Could have they gone the route of, crowdfunding and putting their hand out? Yeah, of course. But they would have run the same course as Intellivision, where you mortgage your future for the present. And it doesn't matter if you make a lot of profits in the future because they're all eaten up by interest, right? So it's a pointless exercise. And you're seeing it here with Intellivision. So the right call is to bankrupt the company if you don't have the funds to continue for another 2-3 years while you establish your brands. Now, let me say this, guys. I know that there's been a lot of drama regarding the arcade communities and stuff. I don't have the stomach for that, and I find it less interesting every day. I mean, we all fall to internet fights and what have you, but of course, those of you who follow the channel know that I can't comment on individuals because of my work requirements. I have media restrictions, so I can only comment on companies. But in this case, it's not even relevant, right? I'm not comparing people and what they said and this and that and the other. You know, you can save it in the comments. That's not something even you need to comment on, because it's not the subject of this video. Subject of the video is how these CEOs handled this type of adversity differently. One did it, in my opinion, right, my humble opinion, the right way. He took defeat with honor. You know, whatever his mistakes were in business or what have you, eventually he had to own up to them and tell his public, tell his fans, tell customers, we failed, right? We failed, we didn't accomplish our mission, and we have to close down. That's a lot better proposition than what Intellivision did, which is put their hand out to the public and make promises that they knew they couldn't keep, right? Financially. They were hoping, right? But when you ask somebody for an investment, you have to be pretty close to certain that you can accomplish those things, because you're playing with other people's money. And in this case, IiRcade couldn't do that. They knew they didn't have the funding, right? Most businesses fail within 5 years, and if you don't have the money, guys, to endure your business for 5 years without making a penny, don't even open it. Don't even open it. But if you're an investor, why would you want your money hung up for that long with the possibility of losing it all, right? It doesn't make sense. So this was the absolute right call. You know, this was handling defeat with honor, right? In a business sense. I don't know these people personally, nor do I care about the backstories. I'm just talking about this particular event and how you deal with a company that is failing, with a company that you know is not going to make money. If you're not going to make money, there's no point in being in business. There's only one reason to open a business, guys, and I told you this before, is to make money. The minute you're not making money is the minute you need to shut it down, and this is the case with the IiRcade. And you compare and contrast that with what Intellivision did, right? Whatever you want to say about the IiRcade, you know, you want to say that they didn't have the licenses, sure, that they didn't have the fan base, you know, yeah, sure, you know, whatever. I saw a YouTuber make a video out there, I think it was 19K Fox, where he said, you know, part of the problem was the fan base of the IiRcade. And, you know, maybe on YouTube, in YouTube terms, but to the regular customer, it doesn't matter. I mean, look at Arcade 1UP. They've had plenty of bad press, but some of those arcade cabinets you can't keep in stock. When it comes to video game fans, dude, I told you guys before, Satan himself could be making video games, and if they're fun, people will buy them. But I think he hit the nail on the head when he said it was the licenses, right? If you can't get those big licenses, you know, you just can't do it. It's like Nintendo said back in the console wars, the name of the game is the game, right? And if you don't have the games, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how hard you're working. People are just not going to gravitate towards your titles. And there you have it. You know, the tale of two stories. How this man handled it. He got on camera, looked the people in the eye and said, we failed. We have to declare bankruptcy. And man, it was sure tough. It's sure tough to watch, because you could tell the emotional, the physical toll it took on him. I mean, you could tell the man's still sick. The personal toll, because it does. When you're opening a company, you have to sacrifice all those things. And you contrast that moment where you have to face the music, face the people, and admit to everybody on the internet that he failed, as opposed to what Tommy Tallarico did, which is fade into the background after not delivering. You have to remember, the IiRcade actually existed. They produced a product during COVID. They did everything that Intellivision said they were going to do, but never did. So, you know, in that aspect, you're not comparing apples to apples, because Intellivision never did it. Even when they lost the investor and they got the money from the public, they never delivered. They have never delivered. And when you compare the two companies, whatever you want to say about the IiRcade, as far as their products, quality, what have you, you don't like them, The one thing I don't think you can say is that it was a scam, right? They tried and they failed. But because of how Intellivision handled things, how Tommy Tallarico handled things, they will always have that veil of a scam. And I don't think you're going to be able to take that away from now to the end of time. And look at where they're at now. Look at the faces of the company. When you think about Intellivision, who do you think of? One was a sound defeat, and one continues to be a clown show. All right, guys. I got to get my morning walk in here. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.